I think I have a lot of great people around me, and it's the reason I drive race cars.
Welcome, everyone, to the Driving Vision podcast brought to you by the Zeigler Auto Group. And here with me, Auto Group Director of Talent Development, Mike Van Ryn. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Sam.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, like it if you do, and leave a comment. Hey, everybody, welcome to the special edition of the Driving Vision podcast. We're here in studio high above Kalamazoo Honda here on Stadium Drive in Kalamazoo, Michigan, to announce something really cool. With us, Aaron Zeigler, President and CEO of the Zeigler Auto Group. Aaron, what do we have to announce today?
Well, we've got a lot of announcements. It's been a big week. So we have partnered for the 2024 NASCAR season with Spire Motorsports and hometown race car driver Carson Hocevar.
Carson, welcome. You're here in studio.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a pretty awesome studio, you guys, as well as a pretty big organization. Got a chance to go to motorsports and the Chrysler building, now the Honda building. So pretty awesome. A little bit everywhere here.
So Carson, not only do we have you as our new NASCAR race car driver, we're excited to have homegrown talent here. We also have President of Spire, Todd Mackin. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're super excited to have you here in studio. It's not often we get the NASCAR race car company that owns the car that the driver is going to drive to be here in studio, which I think makes this relationship unique. Aaron, talk to us a little bit about why Spire and why Carson?
Start with Spire. So they're a team that is on the move. They're growing right now in leaps and bounds, and they have that burning desire to win, just like we do as a organization. And we've gotten to know Todd and Jeff and TJ, the owners of Spire, and their core values are very similar to our core values as an organization. And it was just a natural fit to partner up with them. And, from our driver Carson standpoint, I've been following him since he was a little kid. You hear him in the news media, and he's winning national championships. And then he got in the NASCAR Truck Series, and he got in not only in the playoffs last year, but he got in the championship four. So it comes down to the last race of the year, racing for a championship, and just so impressive on the track. But that's great. We want to win. We want to have the right driver. But when I got to know Carson this summer as a person, he's just a wonderful human being. And his outlook on life and his philosophy and his core values matched up with us and as an organization. And it's just a natural fit to have, a hometown guy that's hit it big out there in the racing world, and a hometown sponsor. And we get to partner with, the two of us Inspire to go racing and win.
Carson, what does that mean to you to be sitting here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in a building that you may have passed by as a kid, and have Aaron Zeigler talk about sponsoring with you? What does it mean, Zeigler Auto Group, to you?
It means a lot, obviously. Being so invested in this community, I got to drive by this place all the time. We get to go to lunch, and I don't have to plug into my GPS, right? That's big for me. This is the only place in the country I don't need that. I'm still 20 years old, and I can tell you what happened at lap 75 17 years ago almost in any race. But what I ate for breakfast, I'll be able to forget, within a few minutes. And the fact that I could be able to know this community, know Kalamazoo like the back of my hand, just really says how much, number one, it means to me, but how much that, it's really invested into my core and where it resonates.
Carson, you're a celebrity a little bit. Yesterday, we gathered at Motorsports. That's the second day we've been there. And what happened, Aaron? We set up a little bit of food. We told people that we were going to make a big announcement. And what happened?
Yeah, so we called a press conference, and everybody in the world showed up.
Everyone.
Yes, every network TV was there: CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox. We had national shows that were there, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, there's 300 articles out there, interviews across the internet. I've never seen anything like it. It was unbelievable. I had no idea how many fans and how popular Carson was.
And then we're at lunch today for anyone that wants to have a Carson sighting at Zeigler Motorsports at our restaurant there, and you're being recognized. What's it like for you as someone who grew up here to kind of become known here and kind of be recognized and be celebrated in your success?
Well, I mean, it never really clicked in my head. I was always in my parents. They owned a small little coin and jewelry shop on West Nidge, and I was always in the commercials. We always had a brief second with all the employees.
So that was your first 15
Yeah, that
minutes
was
of
my
fame.
15
You didn't
It
burn
was
it
more
up
like
completely.
It was more like 5 seconds.
Okay. All right.
It was just a quick moment, and you could see how tall I got because I looked super tall, and then all of a sudden I got shorter, and then I got really tall again because I needed a step stool, and then I wanted to get rid of it. So, but people would recognize me when every now and I'd go in the store, and they'd be like, you were the little kid that was in the, you're in the commercials and stuff. And for some reason, I still always thought that's what I would be known for.
Yeah.
So I would go in the store, and I would always just be shocked when people wouldn't say that because I've always heard it my whole life.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, you run race cars. Like nobody remembers the commercials anymore.
Yeah. So my question
just knows the racing thing, and it just never clicked in my head until we had the autograph session just at my parents' store, and it was lined up, and people were coming from hours away. And I'm like, man, I just thought people still just recognize me from the commercial.
So now I have to ask, since you're now sponsored by Zeigler Auto Group, are you going to start charging your parents for the endorsement and the autograph sessions? And by the way, Aaron over there is saying no, right?
No, absolutely not. But I definitely think those autograph sessions will be at Zeigler Auto Group.
There you go.
He also needs a free place to stay when he comes, so he better take care of mom and dad.
I was just saying,
solid advice spoken by a parent as well.
Spire accountants, everybody's just like, yep, we get to save a hotel room. They just keep coming back.
Yeah. Well, it was so much fun to see you there at Motorsports both days and see the public's reaction. So Todd, from the Spire perspective, why Zeigler? You had a bunch of different companies to choose from. Why Zeigler?
Well, we had a brief relationship a couple of years ago.
We did.
And I think it was a good opportunity for us to get to meet each other, work together. But as we've grown as a company, there's been a lot more opportunities to see our on-track ability continue to progress. I think that's something that you guys have shown success in as a company as well, continuing to progress and grow. And as I sit in this room, I see the wall with a bunch of words that your employees put in place and what they thought about when they think about Zeigler.
Meaningful words.
Meaningful words. Yeah. And I think a lot of those words pertain to what we're trying to build here too. I see culture, talent, family. All those things are really, really important words to us. And I think when you're picking a partner, both sides, right, it's got to be the right one. It can't just be the one that makes sense for one group. But we see this as a real opportunity for us to grow over the years. We see obviously a ton of opportunity working with Carson, and we see a lot of talent in him. We believe he's one of the best drivers on the circuit, certainly one of the young up and comers. And we believe that this is something that we're going to really look back on and say was the right decision for both organizations.
Aaron, as you hear those words and you hear the reason behind the why of partnering, what are your thoughts?
This was it was a natural fit between the three of us, but it's also really exciting.
Yeah.
The NASCAR world and the racing world. And we're a company that sells excitement, right?
Yes.
Whether it's motorsports or cars, when we're selling our product, people are at their height of excitement. They're excited with the products and services that we offer. And it's a lot of fun to go racing. We're extremely competitive as an organization. We want to win at whatever we do. And these guys have the same values. And it's a way to really take our brand national out there. And it was just, I feel so fortunate and lucky that we've got a driver now that's from our hometown, and that we get to try to help a little piece of further in his career, and helping him to achieve his goals and achieve Spire's goals and achieve our goals as well.
So is Kalamazoo, Carson, is Kalamazoo a NASCAR town?
I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
We had that autograph session I talked about briefly. My mom just kind of like went on a group Facebook page. I'm good at posting. I'm not good at interacting on social. I post and leave, honestly. And she posted.
Wait, how old are you? That can't be true.
I mean,
you're supposed to be attached to never mind. You're too busy driving, and you're doing a good job.
But anyway, so she went on like a little Facebook fan page that fans made, and just said, "Hey, we're gonna have an autograph session at the store, and feel free to come by for 4 hours." And I'm like, 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I like in the nicest way possible. Like I love autograph sessions. I love interacting with fans, but like
that's a long time.
It's probably gonna be like an hour or 45 minutes of me just sitting there, doing nothing. And we had people still showing up after the 4 hours.
Wow.
I stayed another half hour, 45 minutes, and when I walked in, I had to park in the grass and lined up. And the coolest compliment I got was an employee of over 20 years. You said they had a lot of Tigers come in, and my crowd beat a lot of them, which I thought
you've been winning a lot more than the Tigers.
That's fair.
So Aaron, you got a question yesterday in the press conference. Would love to have you share that, and then talk some racing and your hopes for this season between Todd and Carson. What was the question you got that stood out to you by one of the reporters?
So one of the reporters asked me, they said, Carson's a very aggressive driver. What do you think about that? And I said, we talk all the time in our organization that I think there's two issues in this world today: is people don't think big enough, and they're not aggressive enough.
Yeah. And
I said, as an organization, we're never going to make either of those mistakes. We're going to think big and we're going to be aggressive. So I want an aggressive driver, and I think that fits in with our team and the competitiveness of us. And I want a guy that's going to go for the win, and that's Carson. And I believe he's going to not only win a lot of races, but I think he's going to win a lot of championships going forward too.
When you hear that, Carson, what do you think?
It's just, it means a lot, right? To have people that confident in you and want you to be aggressive, because when you're aggressive, you're going to make mistakes, right? But it's the people that catch you and want you to keep going and not want to change you or silence you or slow you down per se, but they want to just control that aggression per se. And, I think I have a lot of great people around me, and I promise you, if I'm the smartest person in the room, that's there's a reason I drive race cars and not do what Aaron does and run a successful business. So I'm excited where I've gotten the people I have around me.
It's on that point that intersects the sport of NASCAR with our business. Because Aaron often talks about, in business, you can't be perfect. You will make mistakes. The trick is you got to learn from those mistakes, right, Aaron?
Yeah. If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying hard enough on things. And, we say, hey, you're always going to fall down. It's how quickly you get back up, and you learn from those mistakes. And if you never make a mistake, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not moving forward. So it's okay to make mistakes. I always say, hey, you can fail, just fail fast.
Yeah.
And then learn from it and move on.
So guess what failing fast means at the racetrack, Todd? As the owner, as the president of Spire, how do you feel about the potential of, let me ask it this way. What is failure at the racetrack sometime, or learning a quick lesson? It could be a wrecked car, couldn't it?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, we don't want to wreck. I think we continue to progress, and we've made some mistakes along the way. It's no secret. Our goals along the way have been to slowly progress to where we put ourselves in a position to be successful. And we feel like we have had some successes, while they may not have looked that way to the public at all times. Internally, we felt like we have continued as an organization to take the right steps, and here we are at the precipice of that. With a real opportunity with really great partners, and we really feel like this is going to be a huge stepping stone for our organization. So we don't want to talk about failure. We want to talk about successes in the past, but also, like he said, learn from them.
Very good. And we also have Bill Anthony with us, EVP, and then I've been giving you a hard time for 2 days, also general counsel for Spire. So I've had to be very careful what I say. And it's gotten me into trouble a couple times. Earlier, we talked about how Zeigler Motorsports has a track out behind our facilities, and we invited Carson to come ride. Carson, what are you prohibited from doing at any point this season?
I had no road cage. I had a pit bike. I got gifted it by my girlfriend. And
what happened to you on that pit bike? Because I've heard this story and it's terrifying.
So it was,
but it does show how aggressive you are. So I think it's a good story.
I haven't even told them that.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. It's breaking news here on the Driving Vision podcast.
So I had a pit bike, and they were, we had a little track in the woods at Nice. So I would drive around a lot, and we were shooting something for Fox, and I'm like, I should bring the pit bike out. And so I brought it out to the Fox thing, and having fun with it, doing wheelies and doing fun stuff. And I was literally on the way back to put it away, put it on the truck, and I hadn't rode in a while, and I grabbed all front brake instead of rear. And
now, wait, I'm a novice, so I don't know much about this, but I've ridden bicycles enough to know you don't pull the front brake, because what happens?
If you grab front brake, you go head over heels.
Yeah.
I was head over heels at wide open peg.
Yeah. Of course you were.
So I landed, cut up, ripped open my hands, landed on the ground, or it started sliding. And then I started to tuck, got my, just got torn up, road rash everywhere.
Yeah.
Had to fly to Kansas, was racing 2 days later, and I had to walk into the shop, and I'm all bloodied up with Band-Aids all around me. And I had to mark all the way down my chest that looked like he took a razor blade and just barely peeled the skin open.
Yeah.
So I looked a mess, and they're like, "What happened?" And they know the pit bike's gone from the shop, and I'm like, I went to step off a golf cart and I lost my footing.
First step's a doozy, right?
And,
Just, how quickly did they believe that?
So you come, they
yeah, yeah,
100%.
General counsel's made note.
His line. They're like, "Well, why the pit bike be gone?" And then when it comes back, it's completely wrecked. So
2 and 2 together. They knew it.
I was like, I've always gone with the expression: if you're gonna play stupid games, you better be ready to play stupid prizes. So I played tough.
That's awesome.
Went to Kansas and had to race to get to the next round of the playoffs. Finished second.
Yeah.
Ran out of fuel leading. But the toughest part, I was as good as I can be. I had Band-Aids in my gloves and I was fine. I figured out how to hold my wheel right and I was good. But the worst part was shifting. I think I yelled every single time I had to grab the shifter because I had to push right where it was open. And my girlfriend, she was mad that I wrecked the pit bike that she bought.
Of course.
I was late picking her up from the airport because I was supposed to pick her up from the airport and I couldn't because I was getting my stuff. So she put rubbing alcohol on it.
Oh, of course,
clean it out.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
You have an idea now?
I have an idea now. I screamed.
Yeah.
And then she was sitting there and she had cancer. She was going through cancer at the time. So she had the ultimate, we'll just be tough. This ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
She had the ultimate,
she's a race car driver as well, by the way. So
she was currently going through chemo. She's like, well, if I can do this, you can deal with alcohol.
Good
and
for
then
her.
She just dumped right on
Good
me.
for her. I like her already.
I'm like on the ground, just like shaking. But now I have a funny story to tell about it. And I have a pit bike that I had to spend money on to fix.
Now, I'm not advocating this type of behavior. Keep in mind, we're still in the honeymoon period. The
yes.
ink is just
dry. But it is dry nonetheless. So,
but
yes.
I will say that part of this is the reason why Carson is great, right?
Yeah.
The competitive spirit.
Yes.
Right? There is a handful of drivers in NASCAR that will take every opportunity to drive anything they can without any fear or shame or performance anxiety, right? It's the Kyle Larsons. It used to be the Tony Stewarts. He will drive anything and he's competitive. And it's that edge that gets him ahead.
Yeah.
And that's really going to help us perform down the road. And so maybe I may have to cover my eyes sometimes, but I mean, you can't take that spirit away.
I think you and Todd both. I see you both cringing as the story goes, but you're right. He shut pain out of his mind, focused on the task, modified to be great. You and I heard a story yesterday at lunch where you broke your tibia or something, and that
was right after I got off crutches too. So it was within the same time.
And you shortened the generally acceptable span of recovery and taught yourself how to shift using the wrong foot with a block underneath you, and you adapted in a way that
don't try this at home.
No, do not try this at home. By the way, yes, you adapted in a way that a lot of people are unable to do. What in your mind, what process goes through your mind when you're thinking about how to win and you're trying to figure out how to adapt and you're shutting that pain out? Do you have is there like a mental process you go through or a way of thinking that?
No, not really. It's pretty easy as a race car driver to be tunnel vision. I use the expression all the time. When you drive to work and you don't remember the drive, right? 9 times out of 10, my best lap, you'll run a bunch of 1920s right in a row. And then all of a sudden you run a 19.0 19.0. And then you'll run a 1920 again. And they're like, well, why'd you run this? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really remember I did that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I did different. And I just zoned out.
Yeah.
And then I heard 19.0 and I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I got conscious again, and then I went right back to
like, where are we? What are we doing?
So a lot of times it's like that. A lot of my best qualifying laps is the ones I don't remember. And then there's a lot of times where you're instinctively you're driving off instinct and not even conscious. So even when I was in post surgery, and the doctor's like, you sure you want to race 3 days from now? And I'm like, oh. Yeah. And he's like, well, you can't be on any drugs or medication or anything because it doesn't follow the guidelines.
You're about to feel pain.
And I'm like, well, adrenaline's a hell of a drug. Like, I'll just use that.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I was like, I'll just deal with it after. And that's how I've dealt with everything. I feel like is just deal with it after you're done performing. When, just be all out 100%. And just take the time after you have all the time in the world after your event, game, whatever the case may be, to recover, take advantage of that. And you might as well, theoretically from a race car, we don't physically, fall to the ground after the races, but sometimes we do, right? You should be mentally and physically drained after every race, is my thought.
I love that. We often hear in business, and we teach it as a business principle, success isn't about having all the right resources. It's about being resourceful and finding a way through the problem. You've proved that with those couple of anecdotes. We're excited to see it prove out this season. The race team has given you one heck of a resource in this car. We saw it yesterday. Thank you both, by the way, for allowing us to have it on the showroom floor at Kalamazoo Motorsports, at Zeigler Motorsports. Beautiful car. It looks like it's just going to run. Anything you want to share with us about the car, about the setup, about just the season that lies ahead? Either Bill or Todd, you guys can.
So we're obviously very optimistic. So it's and the car is amazing, and the design is amazing. I think it looks fast before it even hits the track.
Yeah,
and we're very proud of that design, and I think it will continue to iterate as we go through. But for us, the biggest source of optimism for us is personnel, right? Not only from a driver perspective, but his new crew chief, Luke Lambert, who they've already had a budding relationship, and his experience that he brings to the team. We've doubled or close to tripled our engineering staff, which allows us to compute data and utilize data more. So it's the resource of the knowledge-based resource, the personnel resource, and you combine that with, we had already started to put together top quality equipment. I mean, obviously the next gen car is the next gen car, and it's all single source. And we had top line engines from Hendrick Motorsports, great information and data from Hendrick Motorsports. So it's putting all of those pieces together and supplementing it with great people. So that's really where the source of enthusiasm is. And then you combine that with partnerships like we have here with people that are just as enthusiastic as we are, that have the same goal and the same mission. And it's just really good alignment.
Yeah. All focused on one goal, which is let's win. Let's find a way to end up in winner's circle. 100%. It's exciting thinking about this year. So any predictions on the year? It's probably too early to make that prognostication, but
we will be better, and we will learn a lot during the year. And
I love it.
We'll be along the principles that Aaron mentioned earlier about thinking big and taking chances, rather than being aggressive. And I really appreciate, I listened to, and I will now re-listen this podcast as well, Carson. He's very thoughtful. And I think that he talks about his memory, right? And how he remembers and he doesn't.
Share the podcast with us. What podcast was it on?
It was the Money Lap podcast that I listened to that you did. And the thought processes, which is what I was going to say, is he may not remember other things. It's because he's putting all his computing resources towards
one goal
and strategy and understanding and learning and improving. And when you listen, you hark back to what happened in Phoenix, which was a unfortunate circumstance where he had a chance for the championship, and then the circumstances happened. But if you listen to him say on that podcast and in other areas, and the way that he analyzes, first of all, the approach going into the race, the need to make adjustments in the race, how he was planning it out to try and get the best and most efficient finish based on what he had available to him, and then what led to those circumstances. And then most of all, setting that aside, viewing it and saying, okay, how can I do better without taking away my advantage and skill of aggressiveness and the talent that I have? Like, nobody wants him to back off. Nobody wants him to become soft. Like, this field is not going to give in to anybody. Right? He's going to have to take his positions. He knows from his experience this last year, he's fighting for every position in every race on every track. And it's hard. And it's hard to translate that. And so you have to have a lot of faith that somebody like Carson can be there every lap and have that mental acuity.
That gets you excited just thinking about it, doesn't it? I see the look on your face.
Yeah. I mean, I just love and live and breathe racing. Things like this is enjoyable, and it lets us go fast. But if there was a race today,
you'd be there.
I'd want to be there for sure.
You'd be there. So
just not going head over heels on a bike.
That's right.
Yeah, no bikes. No.
Although I will tell you, and Todd, I have one question for you. We'll come back to this as closing. You, if you do end up on our dirt track, you have a story with Bill to use as blackmail later on. It's possible that Bill went wrong direction here in Kalamazoo, but we're not going to share that on the podcast. So instead of going there,
maybe not once, but twice too.
Twice. Oh, did it happen again?
Well, it was all the same incident.
You have to correct.
Just kept going.
Yeah, gotcha.
I was trying my best not to laugh, and then he turned left down the wrong way again, and I lost it.
So,
but this is a ledge still.
So Bill, it's interesting when you think about Carson's like thought process. It kind of is evident in his telling of the story because what was it, 2:00 in the morning, 1:00 in the morning? Yes. Carson's telling the story and he's like, I saw what he was doing. I know there's no other cars around. It's late at night. I'm just curious what happens next.
And the next morning,
and he lets you keep going.
And the next morning, you remember, he's like, there was one car, 2 lights down. He looked like he was going to be on the other line.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to miss him. It was fine. I made a mental calculation.
He quote unquote had you. You were okay, but he was just curious.
He gave me enough rope to hang.
Yeah, which is awesome. So Todd, there couldn't be anything more exciting than NASCAR. You're president of a NASCAR team. You all work for a NASCAR company. A lot of people look at us and say, gosh, Sam, how cool it'd be to work for an auto dealership. And you got all these cars around. We don't drive fast. You guys are in the business of racing and winning and creating experiences. What's it like working for a NASCAR team or leading a NASCAR team, I guess?
Just like your business, we want to prepare, we want to be strategic and we want to be purposeful.
Yeah.
And I think if we do those things right, going fast will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And we want to win. We're as competitive as anybody. I love this group because of the competitive spirit. And you'll see us come out there and when Carson mentions, doesn't really remember the laps. If you play any other sports, if you hit a good golf shot, it's just because you prepared.
You're in the zone.
Hit that golf shot.
Yeah.
You hit a 3-pointer. It's because you prepared and you shot that shot 100 times. You don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we want to do on our business side of things. That's what we want to do on the track. And that's what we're doing right now in the offseason is get ready to win and be strategic, purposeful, prepared. Yeah. And I'm excited about our group. I think our whole group is excited about the upcoming season. This is the most energy and electric feeling we've had with the new shop, new drivers bringing some energy to our organization, new teams, and new opportunities. And I think we're really, really excited for that. Also, I've not worked anywhere else but in sports. Yeah. And I love it. Yeah. And that's where my passion lies. That's where all of our group's passion lies. Yeah. A lot of us probably take a pay cut to be in this. Yeah. But it is because we love it and we care and we want it. And when we wake up in the morning, we get to talk about motorsports and not selling copiers. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So probably similar.
No offense to the copier people, but
I love it.
We love to race.
But I'm just saying, we get to talk about this. And so that's what's really cool for us. So, but just like any other business, man, we have our goals and we have our strategies. And
so as we met in our conference room, you flashed up one of your core values, respect. And just as we close out, I got to tell you, we've been doing this for a few years in the NASCAR world, and we've never had a team show us the level of respect you have by bringing a team of 6. You filled the conference room up there, including Carson, and meeting with us. Fascinating conversations. We strategize and we think about what this next season looks like and how do we maximize, not just for one side, but for all of us. We're super excited for the season, and hopefully our entire fan base in the podcast world, our auto group employees, and everyone here in Kalamazoo and in the greater Chicagoland area. Hopefully everybody's just super pumped because, buckle up. And it's only appropriate, Carson. You got to have the last word, man. How do you want to close this thing out? Any closing comments for the podcast world here?
I'm just ready for the Daytona 500.
Bring it.
How many days left?
I'm counting. There's 68 till LA Clash. And then after that is 2 weeks is till the Daytona 500. But excited for that. Excited to head towards that. And normally it starts in the daytime, ends at night. And the yellow is going to be the brightest car, I'm sure, day and night.
So watch for that yellow car, and you'll be with us, I'm sure, remote or live before then. But good luck to you. Good luck to Team Spire. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time. Thanks to all who contributed to this week's podcast. Until next week, how are you driving vision today?